Hey guys, it's Starla and Paris here. I wanted to do an update since it's been so long. It's been like weeks and weeks. The good news is, if you have not heard already, is that I am officially in remission. I got another bone marrow biopsy, and my bone marrow is clean. I have no uh, cancer cells at all in my body. So the Vidasa worked. I had 9 months of it back in West Virginia, and that's what the doctors are telling me. So, and my blood levels are still kind of low, but they're fluctuating because of the surgery, the knee problem that I have. The wound that they did for the second surgery is not healing, so they suspect that I could have a bacterial infection, and we just can't catch it because my blood levels are so low. There's no way to tell. Um, but so that's what's kind of keeping my blood levels from normalizing. But once it does heal, that's exactly what will happen. My blood levels will normalize, and some of them are almost normal anyway. Like my white blood cells are just below normal for a normal person without this problem. So it seems to me that my body is slowly coming back, and it's doing exactly what it did when my liver failed. Uh, my body basically healed itself without intervention, and the doctors couldn't explain why, because it that never happens. So take two, it's happening all over again. So this is my second miracle here. And if you don't think that that's a miracle, you don't know the whole story. Because I was going to die. I was dying. MDS is blood cancer, and it is very serious, and it sometimes leads to leukemia. I found out that I was not in the high risk group. Everything I was told in West Virginia was wrong. That I was low grade, low risk. The fibrosis apparently is gone. Um, and, I was never as serious as what my West Virginia oncologist made it out to be. But because I still had MDS, generally people with that, with no treatment at all, live 1 to 2 years, and with treatment lived about 3 to 5. So they don't have any kind of like tests or records or whatever to show anything after 5 years. After a 5 year survival rate. So, longer term, they just don't know. And I'm sure there are people who have lived 10, 20 years or whatever, but they just don't have that kind of data at this point. But so anyway, it would probably have never developed into full-blown leukemia, but I did have cancer cells. I did have cancer, and the Vidasa apparently apparently knocked those out. And so what's going to happen now is I'm not on chemo now, and I won't be put back on chemo. And depending on what my blood levels do, we're not even sure if I need a transplant at this point. My hematologist is unsure of what to do as far as that goes. We did all the HMLA something typing. I forget what it's called, but they took about a pint of blood from me the other day, and it was a lot. And I felt really weak afterwards, but uh, my red blood cell count and hemoglobin is actually above their standard for transfusion, so they didn't have to transfuse me. And my liver is kind of fluctuating. Liver enzymes are, up and down or whatever. Bilirubin is normal. Actually, it's kind of low. So, I mean, that's usually the last thing that goes, when something's really wrong with my liver. But when the bilirubin is up, that's when I get yellow. Uh, it, it's normal, and the levels aren't as high as they were, say, 2 weeks ago. So they're actually coming down. They fluctuated, went up, so now they're on the way back down. So this is what's going to happen. And it's all because of this leg. It will not heal. So pray for me that this leg will heal and I will stop spewing fluid out of it because that's the problem. It keeps developing fluid. Not it doesn't have an odor and I don't have signs of infection or anything like that, but because it's open and it remains open, my doctors are afraid that there will be an opportunistic infection develop in there at some point. The longer it stays open, obviously, the higher the risk, right? So that's the concern. And yesterday, when I praised my doctor for, helping me, and I said, I could have lost my leg, I could have died. And, he said, you still could lose your leg, to be honest. You're not out of the woods yet because this thing won't close and it won't heal. He's very concerned, and that's not a good thing. Um, it's general knowledge here, because it's UPMC, and there's so many different hospitals around and everything. Surgeons are kind of arrogant, and I guess that's just a personality thing with their profession. It's kind of like a prerequisite. You have to be an arrogant douchebag before you can be a surgeon. O'Malley, thankfully, is not like that. I mean, he can get cocky. I can see where he would be perceived as cocky, but he's actually very nice. And I can see why the ladies like him. I mean, I'm not physically attracted to him, but I can see he just has that way about him that I don't know. Anyway, he's married and has 2 kids, just so you know. Don't hands off. So anyway, I'll probably edit that out. But he's concerned. And usually we're making jokes, and usually it's not so serious. And he's very funny, and he's like I said, he's cocky, and he just doesn't. Surgeons are just not like, their bedside manner is just different. But not yesterday, the day before, he was the day before, it was Friday. He was very concerned, and his demeanor was completely different. So, and my other doctors, my hematologist as well as my hepatologist, are very concerned that this leg could end up being a disaster. And it's just a teeny, teeny, tiny hole, not even that big. So, but it just won't close. It won't heal. So what's going to happen? Now I finally get to the point. What's going to happen now is that because we are not going forward with the transplant immediately, we're going to wait till June to revisit the topic, even though I've been typed and, all that stuff. They've done all the typing and the matching, and, I guess they're going to try to find me a donor or whatever. They didn't even test my mom, so she could be out. I think she's like last resort at this point. But so what's going to happen is that my hepatologist, my liver doctor, and I are going to play around with the prednisone dosage that I'm on. And I'm on 20 milligrams right now, which is kind of mid range. 40 is what they put me on when I have a flare, like when my liver starts to become inflamed. They put me on 40 milligrams. That's how I gained all of that weight. I was on that for so long that it just, oh my God. And all the fat, you can tell, goes to your face. You get the moon face. You remember how thin I was there for a while from the chemo. You get the moon face and you get a belly. I have a belly. I went from a size 8 to a size 10. So I'm at a size 10 now. Well, I'm kind of in between because, anyway, some 8s fit me, some 10s fit me, and I can usually find a 9 here and there. But anyway, so still large shirts just because that's comfortable. But so we're going to play around with the dosage. And I asked if we could do it in 5 milligram increments and see if maybe we can't give my immune system a boost. Because the prednisone is actually what is keeping my immune system suppressed, obviously, so that it does not attack my liver. And because that would put me in a whole world of trouble at this point. My liver enzymes, because they're fluctuating, he may want to increase it until the fluctuation goes away and they go back down. But I don't know. I mean, who knows? I don't know what he plans to do. He's the expert, not me. But we are a team, so it's not completely up to him. Like, I can suggest things and he can think about it or whatever. Like my former hepatologist, she's moved and she had to move for her family, and I understand that. But the reason I didn't follow her, because I love her so much, I miss her, is because my hematologist is here in Pittsburgh and she is actually an hour away now. So she's still with UPMC, but it's just an hour away is her office. It's like Hermitage or something like that. I don't know. So, but she's still advising when necessary. She hasn't left me completely. But I'm hoping that we can get it down to like maybe 10 milligrams. So that will still keep my liver in check, but give my immune system enough of a boost so that this leg can heal, to give this leg a chance to heal, because it just stands in the way of everything. And once it heals, then my blood levels will start to rise and come back up to normal and normalize. And we can see if the MDS was something that was temporary because of medication, or if it's a permanent thing and I need a transplant. Because it seems to me at this point that it may have been temporary. And that would be awesome news. And, like I said, another miracle. I mean, it's a miracle that I don't have cancer anymore. And they're saying that, it could come back, but it's doubtful because of how it came about. It was medication. It wasn't like my body didn't just like dysfunction and, it's not my lifestyle or something that I did myself. It was from medication that I'm no longer on. So, and they will never put me on it again. So, it's doubtful that the cancer will come back. But so, because the tacrolimus, the immunosuppressant that they had replaced the azathioprine with, that actually messed my kidneys up and made me experience acute renal failure. And when they took me off of that and put me on the prednisone, that cleared itself up right away. So, I mean, it took a few months, obviously, but that was temporary. So now my renal function is completely normal. I mean, I don't have renal disease or failure or anything like that. So we're hoping it's one of those things. And it just is taking longer because, it's my blood and it's, bone marrow, and it's more complicated and it's more involved and complex. And, I can't even read my lab results, my hematology stuff, because it's just so different. You have so many liters per whatever, and you have to put this stuff together in your head and do the math, and I don't have it in me. A web developer that sucks at math, if you can imagine that, that doesn't make any sense, but not that kind of math anyway. I just can't do all that, like percentages and I can read programming language. The ones and the zeros are no problem. It's just this stuff I just can't. I just can't. So that's the remission update. I hope all is well with everybody. I'm praying for you guys. I love you guys. I miss you guys. I'm doing really awesome without Facebook. I don't miss it. I miss my friends, but I have some of you on Instagram. They still keep up with you. And those of you who have my number and are texting me and stuff, that that helps. But if you want to follow me and you still don't know my info, just comment and I'll message you or something. So it's almost 15 minutes, so I will let you guys go. And I'll see you on the flip side later.